365 Days of Horsemanship, day 253. So day 253, I came after work. It was my first day back, and so I was a little tired. And it was actually kind of nice because I still had a really nice session with both horses. With Lawrence, it was really, I think, the first day that I came to really understand where our relationship is now comparably to where it has been. And I've done a separate video on that, which I'll link in the comments. And it was really interesting. I came up, it was dark and I didn't really have very long. And so I was really just walking around him, looking for a moment of curiosity. And I got lucky, actually, in that he was already feeling quite curious. He was actually resting when I arrived, which is often a good place for him. If he's just about to nap or he's just had a nap, he's a lot more engaged with the world than he is when he's grazing. I think that's because he likes to have these periods where he spends quite a long time looking out at the environment, and I think that really soothes him and makes him feel better. And when that's happening, he's then, after that, much more curious about everything. And so I was able to come up and really take the opportunities to be with him in moments of curiosity and take that flow and work on my timing of leaving before he moved me and moving to the next place of flow before the last one was overwhelming, which was really great for me. And it was also quite motivating because the last couple of days, the first day I was back and the day after that, had been hard because I really had noticed there was this sort of tension between us because things had changed and I had this new pattern and he wasn't really sure what was going on and he didn't really know what to expect next. And I think definitely his association with pressure is that it starts and then it builds until it's awful. And so I think it's going to take him a little while to understand that this pressure isn't going to build. It's just going to sit until he feels better about it. And so it was nice to sort of almost get a little bit of like a ray of sunshine in the clouds, a little break in that experience we'd been having just to be together in a way that was really, really nice. And it was lovely because I think it reminded me actually how much of training in freedom is reliant on what part of the day you turn up in, because you have to meet the horse where they are, and actually at that point in the day, in the evening, he was in a different place than he'd been in mentally and physically the days before. And so it was easy for me to slide into that curiosity. And that was really nice as well, because it's easy, I think, to put a lot of pressure on yourself, especially when you're really trying to work on yourself as a leader. When I'm trying to work on myself as a leader, it's like everything's got to be my fault. This sort of like self-focused, self-obsessed, self-centered mindset that you can get into. Well, certainly I can get into really easily. And actually reminding myself that a lot of the time it's environmental as well. If I meet him at a moment where he's feeling really dissociated anyway because he's just doing his grazing and he doesn't really want to think about life, it is going to be more challenging to get those focus changes. And that might not necessarily be because of anything I'm doing or not doing. That is just the place he's in at that time. And so that was really nice. And it was lovely to go and spend some time with Mia as well. Mia, again, was a lovely short little session. She was grazing with the herd and I was able to do some walking until she sort of flicked her head up at me and I stopped and found that place of flow there with her. That's definitely something I've noticed actually over the last couple of days, is how I've noticed it at the hay bale, but I've noticed it actually now in a few different circumstances, is her sort of reflexive action is if she wants something to stop, she'll sort of like flick her nose up. It's like that sort of like that sharp motion. And it doesn't feel necessarily comfortable. It feels like there's a little bit of like fight in there. Or irritation. And at the moment, I'm sort of allowing it because that's kind of all that I'm getting. But I also am aware that with freedom-based training and really with training in general, it's unlikely that she's going to offer more unless I motivate her to offer more. She's probably just going to feel forever that the way to get me to stop moving is to be irritated with me, because that's how she's feeling in that moment. She's feeling it. She's like, oh, stop moving. And at the moment, I'm happy that she understands that she can move me, that she can change me, that she has influence. Because before, 100 days ago, I could walk for half an hour and nothing would happen that was of any real note. She would maybe make a glance, but there was no head up, 2 eyes, 2 ears at anything. Like super focused on the grass. And so this is a real improvement. And now it's about an awareness of, is this going to improve on its own? And is this going to get better, where she's going to get more and more relaxed every time when she realizes that she can change me, she doesn't need to be irritated? Is it something that's going to change on its own? Or, as I said, is it something that's actually just going to reinforce the pattern of being irritated? And is it something that I need to move past until she finds something to feel better about, and just being more specific? Because it's really important when I'm training with this freedom is to be really specific, because it's slower, and so it's just more realistic. If you want results, you have to be much more specific to get them. And also, it's about clarity. It's about really understanding what it is that I'm looking for. And it's okay to say this is the first step, but now it's about looking towards the next step. We've got this first step now. So that's something really interesting that I need to play with. I think it's really important for me not to get too committed to certainty about it being one way or the other, like a certain outcome. It might be that it's good for me to continue to reward that. It might be that I need to start walking past it. And I think the only way that I can find out is to experiment with an open mind and really like a critical eye. And so what I'll probably do is continue to reward it for the next few days. I'll reward it today if it happens. I'll reward it over this next week, and I will see over this next week, is it getting better or is it getting worse? Because if it starts getting better, then I know that I can just continue to reward it, and it will just continue to keep getting better, obviously, unless it starts getting worse. And if it starts getting worse or it's not getting better, then I can try moving past it to see what happens, to see if that just disconnects us and that's the best we could get. And next time, actually, I now need to go back and make sure that I am rewarding that, because we can't push any further for anything else. Or if I walk past that, if she starts problem solving, or if something else happens where she looks up at the environment, and I can mark that moment as well, or instead. So that's really, I think, where I was at day 253. It was a nice, like I say, short little session, and yeah, just a couple of lovely learning points out of it.